nation. No going back. Yoruba nation. No going back. What do we want? Yoruba nation. Yoruba nation. No going back. Yoruba nation.
There is no land called Nigeria. There is no language called Nigeria. There are no people called Nigerians. We are only deceiving ourselves.
We are not Nigerians.
Okay, where is Nigeria where is the land called Nigeria? What is the Nigerian language? We are nations that had been forced together to live in one pathetic country. So anybody who goes there today to say pray for Nigeria, that person is just deceiving himself, because the people who want to be that Nigeria had not sat down to agree if they want to be Nigeria.
Thinking about how we've been having this conversation about the unity of Nigeria. And I reflect back at some of the prominent statements made by some of our founding leaders. And I feel that probably this will help us to have a conversation on the Nigerian unity. I just brought four, not to bore you. First, and I quote, not my statement, Nigeria is not a nation. It's a mere geographical expression. There are no Nigerians in the same sense as there are English, Welsh, or French. The word Nigerian is merely a distinctive appellation to distinguish those who live within the boundaries of Nigeria from those who do not. This is accredited to Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the former Prime Minister of the Western region. The second one, and I quote, it is true that we politicians always delight in talking loosely about the unity of Nigeria. 60 years ago, there was no country called Nigeria. What is now Nigeria consisted of several large and small communities, all of which were different in their outlooks and beliefs. The advent of the British and that of Western education has not materially altered the situation, and the many and varied communities have not knit themselves into a composite unit. This is accredited to Sir Amadu Bello, former Premier of Northern Region. The third, and I quote, since 1914, the British government has been trying to make Nigeria into one country. But the Nigerian people themselves are historically different in their backgrounds, in their religious beliefs and customs, and do not show themselves any sign of willingness to unite. The Nigerian unity is only a British intention for the country. This is thinking about how we've been having this.
Alleged regional government bill in circulation, if true, overtaken by events. A document alleging to be a bill submitted by Bola Tinubu to the National Assembly seeking to reverse and to amend the 1999 Constitution and give regions independence from the central. In other words, going back to regional government arrangement. It's in circulation all over the social media. If this bill is true, and I hope it is true, my message is clear that the bill has been overtaken by events. What preponderance of Nigerians need now is not regional government, but they want an independent country of their own. Regional government belongs to the past. Currently, the agitation is for self-determination, for all regions, ethnic nationalities wishing to have their own country. Anything short of that is chasing the wild goose and will not pass the passage of time. I will not see the daylight. Indeed, what Nigerians are going through now, the way and manner we are being collectively mismanaged, we are being assaulted, we are being pauperized, We are being reduced into pitiable combustible materials. We are being reduced into beggars, into slaves. By the Bola Tinubu regime is emboldening many of us who were formerly against breaking of Nigeria into smaller nations. We are now reversing ourselves. Majority of us, including myself, who was formerly against smaller nations out of Nigeria, is now fully committed to having Nigeria broken into different countries out of choice or out of compulsion, so that we can go and manage ourselves in our own way, in our own speed, in our own style, cognizance of taking into consideration our culture, our beliefs, our socialization, our meaning, if you like. We are tired of a central government where everybody has been made to become a slave. Everybody has been reduced, except the few who are milking the country high, empty, and dry, who are stealing our collective patrimony, collective resources, who are sending us fear and terror, who are deceiving us every day, every night, every hour, every week, every month, all year through. And therefore, those who are thinking that a bill to take Nigeria back to the are doing any favor, they are making the biggest mistake. That is not what Nigerians need. What Nigerians need is dissolution of Nigeria into smaller nations, out of choice or out of compulsion, in peace, not in pieces. Anything short of that will not see the light of the day, will not address the current challenges, will only be postponing the evil day. Enough for the wise. Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Now let's go global trotting. The news. And as you all know, well, topmost, as of now, 11 o'clock exactly, and I can tell you Kamala Harris, 223, and Donald Trump, 279. So Donald Trump has crossed the line, and Donald Trump has won. Well, he won the popular vote, and he won the college vote as well. Okay? So, he will say that it's a people's choice. But we're talking more about that, the effect of that win over Africa, over the Middle East, and other parts of the world, especially those of us here in the UK as well. But when it comes to Nigeria, there are a few issues that we have to be looking at as well. Tinubu congratulates Trump, yes, as we say, to strengthen U.S.-Nigeria relationship. My apologies there. Just bear with me. On the other side, gunmen kidnapped Catholic priest Reverend Father Emmanuel Azubuike in Imo State. And Peter Obi decries constant national grid collapse, says Nigeria must elect capable, competent leaders. Well, the president will tell you that he's doing his best. He's put everything there. Even he's paid the bills for the presidential villa, making sure that everything is up there. Okay, so if the grid is collapsing, it might not be his fault. So who and how do we do that? I'll be telling you more about that as well. World Bank earmarks $50 million to support Nigeria's food nutrition challenges. Do you mean to say that one Nigerian person cannot even, afford to give $50 million? Yes, they can. But the question is, are we going to be using it the way that it's supposed to? It wouldn't end up in some people's pocket? Or do you think that all the richest people in Nigeria cannot contribute 50 million to help? It's because of the insecurity and stuff like that. I'm going to tell you more about that. No glass off against Dangote. Oil marketers clarify after monopoly allegation. Well. We know what is happening on that front. We know what is happening on that front. But this and a lot more are going to be coming your way. This is Star Radio UK. And this is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. While still waiting for Mr. OLAYOMI KOIKI to join in. In other parts of the world, well, it's more to do with reactions from other parts of the world. Netanyahu and Starmer lead congratulations to Trump. And then Chris Mason, what a Trump victory means for the UK. We'll tell you more about that as well, and what it means for other parts of the world. Okay. And so what does it mean for women in politics, those who are trying to run for the presidency when it comes to U.S. politics? What do you think? Do you think that still it's not time for a female woman to become the leader of the free world? What do you think about all that? Lots more going to be coming your way from there. This is way from Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And I can tell you at 3 minutes past 11, where I think we have Mr. OLAYOMI Koiki. It looks like his image is a bit frozen there, but he is on, and we'll be crossing over to him because we got lots and lots and lots to talk about this morning. Let's see whether yes, I think he can hear us now. Okay, but this image is sort of static, so he will sort that out as we continue with the program. It is already here. Yes, I can see him all well and kicking, and let's go to him straight in our North London studios, where I think he is at the moment, because we've been all moving around a lot, trying to get all the information, the necessary information that we all need. And I say, Yomi, good morning to you.
Good morning. Not sure if my image is frozen.
Yeah, it's frozen.
No, I think there's a bit of movement.
Okay, yeah, now it's okay. Yeah, you're back.
Very good morning to you, Archie, and also a very good morning to all our viewers from around the world. And welcome once again to the morning show on a Wednesday. A very beautiful day back here from London. As you can see, I'm in the studio in London, not on the go as we have been a couple of days. But let me come back to you because there's so much happening, and we want to make sure all our listeners around the world are kept up to date. Especially, we've been off air for almost 72 hours, and it seems that many of our listeners are concerned. They're worried of not listening to the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London that brings them up-to-date news of what is happening around the globe.
Yes. As I said earlier on during the introduction, sincere apologies to every one of you who listen to us. Ill health and all stuff, but thank God we are still alive. Yomi's line is dropped, but I know that he's going to be calling us back, so just bear with us whilst we try to get him back on. But ladies and gentlemen, Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, I think he's having a bit of connectivity issue there, so let's try. Okay, I think is he on? Let's see. Yes, I think I can see a movement there, which means that is on. All right. Okay, good. Yes, so my apologies there for the feedback. Okay. Yes, listeners, this is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, and it is now 6 minutes past the top of the hour. It is the Wednesday edition of the morning show, and we've got lots to bring you because we know lots of information has broken. But first of all, let's come to the most current story that is going around with the victory or the triumph of Donald Trump, and the fact that the president has even called him to congratulate him. All in line with the U.S. and Nigeria relationship. And as I was saying, what is the election of Donald Trump how is it going to impact the relationship between Africa and the U.S. and especially Nigeria this time? Yomi.
Well, as you said, quite a lot of development coming from America, and I know as many of our listeners that are from Nigeria that have lived in the state that are doing very well would also be monitoring the kind of what we can call a message of what many thought might not be, because when you look at Donald Trump and some of what has been played out for some time, you will realize that he's a man that kind of not giving up. But you're quite right. Congratulatory messages are flying from around the globe And likewise, the president Bola Tinubu has also sent in his own congratulatory message as well to the president-elect. I believe we can call it off now because it has also been called off from different, part of the, medias around the world. And I'll be telling you, what the president is saying in terms of this message that has come through, is one of his spokesperson, that is Bayo Onanuga, regarding, message to Donald Trump. Let's see what, the president is saying. Because, like I said, it's quite a lot of emotion out there, I'm sure, for the president. I'm sure we'll be going into that. But from what the president is saying this morning from Bayo Onanuga, goes this way, and I'm going to be brief, as much as possible. Bear with me. Yes, President Bola Tinubu congratulate President-elect Donald Trump on his re-election as the 47th President of the United States of America. President Tinubu looks forward to strengthening the ties between Nigeria and the United States amid the complex challenges and opportunities of the contemporary world. I will leave that for there, but the president also says together we can foster the economic cooperation, promote peace, and address global challenges that are affecting our citizens. I'm sure there's quite a lot of global challenges, and I'm sure, the ties with whether Nigeria will remain one, as many other issues are rising up quickly, will be determined, in this administration of Trump. But let me come back again to you, Mr. Archie, back in the studio.
Well, it is quite an interesting one. I mean, if you listen to the rhetorics of Donald Trump and everything, then I tell our leaders that it's about time that they sit up and look at things the way they're supposed to. The fact that you go congratulate him, I mean, even these old countries, the countries, advanced countries who, let's say they are competitive with him, he's even looking down on them saying America first. But when will it be Nigeria first, Ghana first, or whatever African country first, where we are, whatever things that we are doing, we are looking at the interest and the welfare of our people. And are people going to turn and vote like the way people think that, oh, well, this person, he has done that here, but they think that he's saying what the people want to hear. Are we going to hear anything of the sort? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Star Radio UK. You can let your comments come through, and we'll be looking at that as well. Bayomi, do you think that, I mean, looking at everything, is it that Nigeria is going to have a very good trade terms with the U.S.?
Well, I believe Nigeria has always, have, a cordial relationship, with America for a very long time, in the past, and we remain, one of those, African countries, that Nigeria has not played with. But, if we play back, some of the president, I've not visited Nigeria. There was a lot of expectation that, Barack Obama was going to pay that courtesy visit, to Nigeria, but apparently that did not play out. Joe Biden, the same thing. Whether Trump this time around, will be able to look inwards, into, Nigeria, because the relationship, has been cordial. But also there's a lot, when it comes to the insecurity, because the insecurity means that, America that was operating from Niger, have now been cut out. And that means that, there is now, a kind of a gap between, that Sahel. Remember that is a route that many things should have gone through. The gas wanted to pass through there. There's a lot of activities of the, the Boko Haram and the ISIS. Again, we can see, Russia, penetrating into Africa. How, this administration will be able to work with Africa, mostly Nigeria, is something that many people will be looking up to in the next couple of days and years of the next 4 years of the 47th, president of the United States of America.
Okay, listeners, this is Star Radio UK. Mr. OLAYOMI KOIKI in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, so we'll bring you updates from Nigeria. Now, let's go to some of the substantive issues going on. Gunmen kidnap Catholic priest, Reverend Father Emmanuel Ozumike in Imo State. Now, we thought that maybe the security situation in Nigeria is improving, because we talked to most of the government spokespersons. They all come out, seem to be painting a picture that, things are doing very, very well. The other time we had information that they is it the army chief or had passed, and there were rumors about that it wasn't.
Well, it's no longer a rumor, because I thought we were going to start from there, because he has actually passed on.
Oh my wow!
So I'm sure you probably didn't pick that, but I'm going to go straight to that. Yes, it's a breaking news. It has now been officially confirmed again by Bayo Ononuga. Bayo Ononuga is the is a spokesperson is a special advice, information and strategy to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And just before we're coming on air 1 hour ago, this was what was released, State House press release. There's another update. Lagbaja, President Tinubu has postponed the federal executive meeting for today. But let's go to the main, development story that was taking place just before I was coming on air, with you this morning. 2 hours ago, State House press release has now announcement of the passing of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, regret to announce the passing of Lieutenant General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja, the Chief of Army Staff, at the age of 56. He passed away yesterday, Tuesday night, in Lagos after a period of illness. He was born on February 28, 1968, just 8 years after the Nigerian independence. Lieutenant General Lagbaja was appointed Chief of Army Staff, on the 19th of June 2023, when President Bola Tinubu became the president. His distinguished military career began when he enrolled in the Nigerian Defense Academy in 1987. On the September 19, 1992, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Nigerian Infantry Corps as a member of the 39th Regular Corps. Throughout his service, Lieutenant General Lagbaja demonstrated exceptional leadership and commitment, serving as a platoon commander in the 93 Battalion and the 72 Special Force Battalion. He played a pivotal role in the numerous internal security operations, including Operation Zaki in Benue State, Lafia Do in Borno, Udoka in Southeast Nigeria, and Operation Forest Sanity across Kaduna and Niger State. And to finish up, an alumnus of the prestigious U.S. Army War College, he earned a master's degree in strategic studies, demonstrate his dedication. President Tinubu expressed his heartfelt condolences to the family and the Nigerian Armed Forces during this difficult time. He wishes Lieutenant General Lagbaja eternal peace and honors his significant contribution. This is coming from Bayo Ononuga, the special advisor to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Wow, may we say that may his soul rest in perfect peace? Because I skipped that, I didn't see that one coming on. But I missed that one, but it's good that you picked on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, that's information we have pertaining to the Army Chief of Staff. Is that him?
Chief of Army Staff.
Chief of Army Staff, yeah. But let's talk about it briefly. There was a situation, was it last week there or last 2 weeks, when Samuel Ekpa was saying that he was dead. And then there came a story that there was a phone call between himself and the president. So, President, I'm still alive and blah, blah, blah. And everybody just quashed the whole thing. So is it that there was something going on, but they didn't want to reveal it?
Well, as usual, it's only in Africa that death is always shielded away. Let me take you back to when we had the former president, Shehu Yaradua. It was completely, in a vegetable state, but apparently it passed on in Germany. But it seems that, the cabal wanted to keep it, out of the sight of many Nigerians until, there was some kind of exposition that brought it out. When we heard about the death of Lagbaja, which is coming up to literally under 2 weeks today, it felt like a rumor. But again, when those put the information out, were saying to the government to give us a proof of life, the government did not do so. But as usual, the government came out, to say that he was still alive as at the time. But when Tinubu returned back from France after coming on a work visit to UK, then traveled to France, returned back to Nigeria, we realized that he brought in an acting, to replace him. And that sent that signal that Lagbaja was incapacitated, from being, able to take back the role. But as you can hear this morning, he passed on yesterday, and we can only say, to the family, may soul rest in peace.
Okay, may he so rest in perfect peace. As we said, well, we'll be talking about that in the course of the week as well, the impact of his demise to the Nigerian army and the security apparatus as a whole. We'll be talking about that. Just bear with us. But if you have any messages that you want to post on, feel free to do so, and we will touch on that as well. So now let's come to the story that I put through. Now, we're talking about the kidnapping that has gone on with the Catholic priests. I mean, we're looking at the security. What has been, I mean, somebody will say, what has been his footprint? What is his legacy? What has it been? Because if we have a Catholic priest being kidnapped once again, that means that the work that they were doing didn't go far enough. You know what I mean?
Well, it has always been, a country that has been full of, chaos when it comes to the insecurity that we thought that Buhari was able to, to hold on to it, but apparently Buhari could not do much, and that means that, as a former, military, person, much was not done. Again, we've now had a new sheriff in town. Tinubu is still, trying to get things around, but as you can hear now this morning, he has also lost his chief of army staff. So that shows that, pressure is currently on the ground, with the new chief of army staff be able, to put things around quickly and, put the morale, especially, the death of the chief of army staff, can also bring down the morale of the force. But one thing is, as you said this morning, the gun kidnapped a Catholic priest, Reverend Father Emmanuel Azubike in Imo State. What we do know is that, the church official says he was kidnapped along Ayayi community in Obolo while returning from an assignment late Tuesday yesterday. The Catholic Diocese of Ogowa confirmed the incident in a statement. So it's not just one case. There are multiple cases of kidnapping, and there are also multiple cases of other insecurity across the country.
Well, now, has there been any, the acting army chief, has it been appointed?
Oh, yes, there was, like I said, the acting, chief of army staff was announced, by Tinubu just after he returned back to Nigeria, a few weeks, ago. And as you know, why President Tinubu appoint a new army chief? There's a lot of development going on, but Tinubu promotes acting COS Oyelede to Lieutenant General. This was, some few hours ago, but according to the report, President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday yesterday decorated the acting chief of army staff. Whether the president was aware of the death and preparing this new person to take charge, but according to the report, the ceremony that took place at the presidential complex of the State House, President Tinubu decorated the chief of army staff that is called Oluyede, who is now taking charge as the acting. We will see what happens if there will be, officially appointed as the new chief of army staff, but he's still an acting. And from the report that we got earlier, as an updated, President Tinubu has also had to cancel, the fake meeting, which is the Federal Executive Council meeting today, in respect, to the death of General Lagbaja. President Tinubu has also ordered flags to be flown at half-mast state nationwide for 7 days in honor of the departed general. Earlier today, President Tinubu has expressed his heart condolences to Lagbaja and also the Nigerian Armed Forces.
Okay, listen to Star Radio UK. Has there been any reaction from, I know Samuel Ekpa did react the first time when there were rumor of its death, but has there been any reaction from his quarters or other places at all?
Yes, there are. 2 hours ago, Samuel Ekpa, the PM to the Biafra government in exile and the de facto, posted this breaking. Nigeria government officially wrote Donald Trump to distance himself from agitation for freedom. They've actually advertised me to Mr. President. That is, 2 hours ago. But in response to what you've just asked, if Simon Ekpa has reacted, to the death of, Lagbaja, all I can say so far is that I told you people there is nothing I have said that didn't come to pass. I said he will never return. I told you he's dead. They didn't want to validate me, but at the end, shame on them.
It's quite interesting because I don't know, his followers will say, well, now we have to take someone else's word as gospel every time he speaks because he says it and it's true. Maybe government will not tell you that it's true though. But ladies and gentlemen, Star Radio, OLAYOMI KOIKI for you. Let's look at one other story, then I'll let you bring the rest. Peter Obi is decrying the constant national grid collapse. Now, we've had that a couple of weeks ago when the national grid collapsed and we're talking about its frequency. Now, it looks like it's going on and on and on and on. But he's saying that, well, you have elected an incompetent government and that's what they are offering onto you. What does he think? What's going on? Government is putting its best foot forward, right?
Well, government can put their forward, but that is if we've done what is meant to have been done for decades. And what do I mean by that? We've neglected many infrastructure system that could have helped the country, and that means that today Nigeria continue to struggle across the globe, and without electricity there is not much that can be done. You cannot have a full productivity in the country because, talk about it, almost everything needs electricity. It doesn't matter how small your small businesses are, how big your businesses are, you need that power supply to be able to run it functionally. Even if your phone is only what you need for your business, you can't continue to have a phone run on a power bank. You need that electricity. But what we can tell you is that it's not just the news that is filtering through in Nigeria alone. I just want to change, bring in the, my background so that we can tell you that across the globe, Nigeria has become a laughing stock again and again. And this is coming from Reuters just a few hours yesterday. Nigeria power grid partially collapsed again, causing blackout. These kind of messages is not good for foreign investors that wants to bring in their money into the country and invest, because they will need up energy to be able to do so. According to the report, the Nigerian national grid suffered a partial collapse on Tuesday. The state power transmitter says, marking the 9th incident alone this year to have caused the power outrage across the country. The transmission company of Nigeria, TCN, said the grid experienced a disturbance at around 12:52 GMT, triggered by a series of line and generator trips, destabilizing the system. While some regions, including the capital Abuja, regained power, about an hour after the collapse, outrage continued elsewhere. And you're right, Peter B, he's saying the same thing, just as many Nigerians, that, we need to get the grips when it comes to, power, shortage across the country. Star Radio, you can come back again to you in the studio at exactly 25 minutes past 11 this morning.
Now, interestingly, let me link that to what is going on with the oil, finished oil product. We have Dangote, where we have the oil marketers saying that he's monopolizing everything. And so Nigeria I know that they export electricity to, I think, Benin and some of the other neighboring countries. But if Nigeria, it's been a long time that I don't think Nigeria should be in this particular place. Now, when we want to talk about using transformers or what do you call that, barges to generate power, Nigeria has got the fuel to fuel it. So why not? Is it lack of investment?
Well, you're quite right. It's not just lack of investment; it's lack of, respect to, humanity. Because, like I said, you need a power. And you're quite right. Let's go to, Dangote again. No gloves against Dangote. Oil marketers clarify after a monopoly allegation. The clarification is coming from the petroleum accused Dangote refinery of trying to suppress competitors in the downstream sector. We know that people like Dangote have been able to, create their own power to be able to run the refinery. They're not going to rely, on the I better pass my neighbor that many Nigerians are using. But like you said, the oil marketers have said that they are not up against Dangote refinery, as they are ready to purchase refined petroleum motor spirit known as petrol from the facility. This was in an interview that was granted in one of the media yesterday. The president of the Petroleum Product Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Gil Billis Ari, said oil marketers will buy product from local facility if all market indices were fully agreed upon.
Market indices. Okay, let's see if the indices are agreed upon. Definitely that will happen. But what is the current price for fuel, petrol, this morning in Lagos? Do you know from the top of your head?
Well, as of yesterday, it's going to almost close to 1,200 naira per liter. But it seems many diaspora are praying that maybe it should go a little bit more. And maybe that will bring a sense to many Nigerians to do the needful, especially those that are asking for self-determination. But again, that is on the side note, from some of our report. Let me quickly pick one comment here. But Babatunde Olatunji says the former chief of Nigerian Army staff was killed by one Nigerian. I think it might be poisoned by the Fulani. There is no evidence to that, or our element which were disgruntled by the Tinubu regime policy, which they consider is against their interest. Remember how the system has been taking the lives of Yoruba elite since 1960. So again, there is no evidence pointing to that. But from what we heard, he was ill and he passed on yesterday, according to the government report. Yes,
and that is all the information that we have. We will not speculate. That is all that we have. So comments come in and we'll look at it. Ladies and gentlemen, Star Radio UK at 11:29. I leave you on me to bring you the rest of the stories making the rounds. Over to you, sir.
Well, this morning there's still a lot of reaction, to the death of Lagbaja. I'll be bringing that later on in just about a few minutes. But it seems that as many will now be asking questions, on that. The person that also put the story out, Jackson Hude, when I reveal, this is going back to, Lagbaja again, the chief of army staff that has now been confirmed officially that he passed on according to report. I'm sure this is devastating news for many Nigerians and many of the military personnel. This is what he said. When I revealed and posted on the death of the chief of army staff, General Taoreed Lagbaja, weeks ago, I was threatening, called fake news peddle. But today, after they appointed another as the chief of army staff and promote him to the rank of Lieutenant General, they have now decided to confirm General Lagbaja's death. Again, that is, he's an investigative journalist, but based in America. But again, as you can see, that is quite a lot of reports coming there. But let's come back because of the time constraint, and I know it's going to be an heated one. As many Nigerians, Kemi Badenoch, became the conservative. I know we've not been on air for a couple of days. Maybe we should pick on that. Yeah. Many Yorubas are now asking that, would she have been given the same opportunity, if she was, in Nigeria political, space? Because we know that many females, in the Nigerian political space are always pushed back, not given the opportunity, even if you have to, put your body out there. So as also, many also asking the question, what would be, a reflection when it comes to those that are campaigning for self-determination? We know that she will align to the British as that is where she will line up with. But let's take a look at her and compare with Kemi Adeosun. Kemi Adeosun was appointed, by the former President Muhammadu Buhari just about 2015 as the finance minister. We know what was the end of her because the cabal that she was stepping toes on could not take the heat as she was trying to put things right according to report when it comes to the finance department and many of the corruption going on in Nigeria. But eventually they were kind of what they called, waiting for her because they were able to use the fact that she did not participate in the NYSC, and that became a saga, and she resigned, even though Buhari begged her. So you can see the difference that, if you work hard in this country, you put your effort in, your integrity is there, you're likely to be somebody, and that is exactly, what Kemi Adeosun has been able to prove. That's just to pick on that quickly as a diaspora, discussion this morning. Let's move back again quickly because there's still, one or two news I want to pick on, and that has got to do with yesterday we saw the minors that we were told that have been kept after they were putting the Russian flag out there in Nigeria were eventually released, according to President Tinubu requesting that every single one of them to be released because, there was no reason keeping them in the prison since August, when they were brought to the court. They were very, very, looking not to the feat that we can talk about. So that takes me to the next story, or the next headline rather. World Bank has now earmarked $50 million to support Nigeria's food nutrition challenges. The fund was earmarked under the Accelerating Nutrition Result in Nigeria Project 2.0 program, which is a crisis response window. It's not the first time that we are getting, support from the World Bank, the IMF, the European countries, but the management of this fund is what makes many of us question whether they are being channeled for the proper use, or is just again, money that comes through and goes out. According to the country director of the World Bank, Nadeem Diop, revealed this during a meeting with the Vice President Kashima Shettima, that was also able to, after the instruction by President Tinubu to release all the minors, there were a lot of activities at the Aso Rock where they were returned back to their governors and taken back to their state. But it was not just as easy as that. It was a lot of backlash that the government were not comfortable with, and that's the reason why. But coming back to this particular story, according to Diop, the fund was earmarked under the Accelerating Nutrition Result in Nigeria Project 2.0 program, which is a crisis response window. Also, practice manager for health, nutrition, and the population at the World Bank, Trina Akwid, said there was a need for nutrition, education for children and adolescents, as it is important for the early child development. So we're going to be monitoring that as well. And again, let's hope that this funding will be used for the purpose of what it has been, earmarked for, rather than, end up in a politician pocket and end up buying properties abroad. We take one more from the business because I know we're really, really pressed of time. When it comes to, tax reform, we saw how the 19th governors reacted, to that last week when they were actually saying, no, we don't want any tax, reform. But again, as usual, federal government is now urged to stop any tax reform, according to the headline. The tax expert and the chief executive officer of AOC, Adebisi Oderide and Co., Adebisi Oderide, has appealed to President Bola Tinubu to shelve the plan of executing a new tax reform. Like I said, there was a lot of backlash by the 19 governors, when it comes to tax. We do know what the purpose of tax is in this country, and many of the projects and many of the facilities that we enjoy as our children and ourselves is due to the fact that we are paying tax. So what could be the reason why the CEO, a chartered accountant and a tax consultant over 28 years experience, many people think that the plan to reform is to favor Lagos State. Well, I'm not too sure why. He went further to say, however, the state will be negatively affected if the tax reform takes effect due to the present economic challenges in the country. The tax professional urged President Tinubu to immediately discontinue plans to raise the tax bar or any other move to executive the tax reform. Or Derrida said, my advice is for us to make ale while the sun shine, and the journey of 1,000 kilometers starts with a step, and slowly and steady wins the race. The country is hard. I am a tax practitioner, and as much as we continue to pray for a president, he must listen to the words of the elderly, especially as it concerns tax reform. I'm not sure what the reaction of our listeners this morning will be, but as we say, this is the platform that brings you what is going on across. At 11:36, let's take you straight to some of those, headlines. There's a lot of Nigerians that have been following. Yesterday, we saw Davido says it's the first time of voting in America. There was a lot of, comment underneath that particular, tweet as well. But this morning, as Nigerians continue to wake up, many will be looking at what is going on in America with the new sheriff coming in town, Donald Trump, and also what is going on back home as well in Nigeria when it comes to, the debt and many other activities as well. But one thing is, many Nigerians, especially those that are campaigners to right to self-determination, continue to ask the question if the government would allow a peaceful dialogue, because the month is getting closer The days are becoming narrow. I mean, it's not even a month anymore, especially as the Biafra declaration, will be stipulated according to Simon, it's December 2nd. Also, we've seen more activities of this UK government after Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho, dropped that letter at number 10 Downing Street. And that takes me straight to David Lammy, traveling to Nigeria and telling Nigerians that, the UK see Nigeria as the 5th largest economic in the next 51 years. Could that then be what is part of the plan by the Obas, the kings, that are hosting a meeting tomorrow on the 7th to re-amalgamate or make a push for Nigeria to remain one, according to many of the reports that on the 7th, David Lammy was in Nigeria on Sunday on a visit, according to the UK government, for a couple of days. And that takes me straight to that story. Growth at the heart of the Foreign Secretary visit to Nigeria and South Africa. This is coming from the gov.co.uk, the Commonwealth, that is telling us that, David Lammy, will be, making his way to Nigeria, which he has done already. I saw, images of him in Lagos State. But some of what David Lammy is saying is that, it will be of better interest that we keep Nigeria together, because Nigeria will remain, a place, by 20, in the next 51 years, by 2075, I believe, when Nigeria, will be a 5th largest economy. When that report came out and the news filtered out, many of those that believe in the campaign for self-determination are now asking the question, the pertinent question, could it be a reason why after Igboho's letter to number 10 Downing Street, we are seeing the foreign secretary traveling to Nigeria and encouraging us that we should remain as one? And this is how the press statement that came out, a press release rather, from the foreign secretary David Lammy visit to Nigeria and South Africa. Briefly, economic growth to underpin work in both Nigeria and South Africa, as the foreign secretary agrees to develop a new UK-South Africa growth plan and a new strategic partnership with Nigeria. Climate continued to be top agenda of the foreign secretary engagement as he visit the Earthshot event in Cape Town. The foreign secretary set out growth is the core mission of his government, and we underpin our relationship in Nigeria, South Africa, and beyond. And the last one is, David Lammy says, if Nigeria remain one by 51 years from now, Nigeria will be the 5th largest economy in the world.
But we will get 50 years from now. Are we going to see that time coming in? Let me quickly come to you with the visit of David Lammy, the UK Foreign Secretary to Nigeria.
Yes, it says that Nigeria will be the world's 5th largest economy by 2075. The Foreign Secretary will advocate for further collaboration on mutual growth by the UK-Nigerian Enhanced Trade and Investment Partnership that was signed earlier this year.
Now, interestingly, what I wanted to ask is, did he say anything pertaining to the letter that was presented to number 10 Downing Street? Were there any signs of it at all? Or the fact that he said that if Nigeria stays together, then, so means that he was referring to something of the sort?
Well, none of that was, was put out there in these communique that was released on the 3rd by the UK government. But what we know is that, the foreign secretary says he wants to advocate for further trade and climate collaboration between Nigeria and UK. How he wants to do that with many of, a country that is so divided. We have the current, self-determination going on between the Biafra, the Oduduwa, and even the Arewa has spoken out as well, says that it is in the interest for the country to divide. And like I'm picking up from Margaret Ibijoke, says next 51 years, many Nigerians will have died of poverty and treatment as unloved animals. And again, this is a lie coming from Ayokunle Agbolade. So many, especially of the Yorubas, are now putting the picture together. Igboho dropped the letter on the 12th of October. Within 2 days, we saw the British High Commissioner against it in Nigeria. The federal government was on intimidation that what is going on by this letter. Many space around the world started talking about it and even criticizing it that they shouldn't have taken the letter down to number 10 Downing Street. And less than the same month, we are now saying less than a month because, if you calculate 12th of October, we're still on the 6th. David Lammy, I don't know whether the plan was already on the table. We can't say. But what we know is, could it be that after the letter that was dropped is the reason why David Lammy was put on the flight to Nigeria to assure Nigerian government that the relationship will continue to 2075?
Well, 2075.
I'll probably be in my 100, God's willing.
50 years time, right? Maybe I'll be dead because I'll be 100. I'll be 109. Oh gosh, I don't want to live at that time. It's too scary to live at that time, But interesting. Now let's take. I know that I will let you bring what is happening on the social media, but Kemi Badenoch's chance to become the leader of the Conservative. I know you touched on it. How has Nigerians as a whole accepted it? And do they think that it's something that is going to work for them in their interest?
That itself is a lot of question that many have asked if it would be of interest. There was a particular article, and I'm just going to touch on that. The article, I could do a summary of it, was asking, will she remember the rivers that she has traveled from, or will she just neglect it? Because according to, even I went into the biblical aspect of the discussion, that, according to Malachi, I think if I'm right, let me quickly pick on that. According to that article, says she was the last person to enter the race. We know all that. A little over 100 years ago, it would have been unimaginable for that woman, Kemi Badenoch, to have, even let alone, be the major political party. But while many Yorubas may be quick to congratulate, I believe it is time for those around her to educate her on the dangers of the Yoruba land has never remained the same in all aspects of developmental growth. We have fared even far worse since independence in 1960 and return to democracy in 1999. The story of our people, Yoruba land, is nothing to write home about. That influence must be used to advance the cause of our native Yoruba homeland. And you can see that as much as it is a welcome development, it is also for her to see if she will, Kemi has shown herself, if she will be able to use her voice, especially the campaign for the self-determination of the Yoruba people that she's from as a background, even though she was born in Wimbledon some 1980s, around that time.
It's quite an interesting one, but let me ask a hypothetical question. So let's take it that, or we come next 5 years, we go for elections and the Conservative win under the leadership of Kemi Badenoch. Now, do you think that maybe that will, down, if by that time, let's say the Yoruba nation has not been able to get out of Nigeria as a whole, would you think that is something, because we know that she's outspoken and she calls a spade a spade. So if she was in Nigeria, she'll be looking at whatever thing that is going on and she'll be calling it out. So taking that into context, do you think hypothetically, if she happened to be the leader of the Conservatives come the next 4 or 5 years when the election is called, it will make the Yoruba nation maybe calm down, thinking that, she's going to now speak it out, fight our cause for us, and therefore will be treated fairly, and therefore there's no need for us to get out of Nigeria as a whole. What do you think?
Well, I don't think so, because we got to remember that our interest, lies in the British, where she was born, in as much as, one of her parents, her dad is from, background to Yoruba. But one thing is, maybe our influence, can change things around, is what many will be expecting, as you said, if in the next 5 years, the country is still as it is. But one thing is that whether that will happen, we know that it's a very difficult one. We've listened to her, especially when it comes to the slave trade discussion. And for me personally, I don't think she will be able to do anything. And that is my own opinion as someone that rejected slave trade reparation, and also so many of what the monarchy the monarch did during the colonial era. She did talk about it, but she said that we got to talk about the good things and try to move on with what played out over the last 500 years of the slave trade across the continent.
Well, I should talk about moving on. After all, somebody says she's married to Igbo, so what? But do you think that there is a need for the Yoruba nation to present a letter to her? Because at times when people don't have the full information, they behave. But when people have got the full information, they sit down and then look at it. Because, but for the fact that we brought Yoruba Nation on and your interaction with you and with Chief and Professor and all that stuff, that has got me, more knowledge into what has gone on, amalgamation and everything. If not, I wouldn't have known. So maybe she doesn't know that history. Now, do you think there's a need for a letter to also be presented to her as the leader of the opposition in the UK? Would that have any impact at all? And do you have any plans of that sort?
Well, I spoke to, Professor, the leader of the Yoruba Self-Determination Group, and yes, there's a plan, to communicate with her. Again, whatever that communication is and when that is going to happen is what I don't know. But yes, there is, these plan to communicate, with her as the opposition leader, if she can use her influence, and then, based on that influence, she can use that, with the current state of the Yorubas that are asking for their right to a full independent autonomous state as being part of Nigeria that David Lamy wants to keep for the next, well, not David Lamy, but David Lamy saying that Nigeria will be a better place, by the 2075, which is about 51 years.
Mabulaji Abdullahi, good morning to you there as well. But what is left on the social media? Because I know that we spend so much.
Well, there's not much apart from, like I said, the reaction is still flowing through. According to Daily Farotimi 3 hours ago, disunited we became as prey. We must unite to birth the Nigeria we desire. Again, President Tinubu, they've come up with a beautiful flyer. 47, congratulations, President Tinubu. But underneath that, we know that there will be all these other discussion, especially when people ask, other top countries, President, congratulate Donald Trump with 6 to 9 lines of X tweet. But those e-rich African time now, notebook, we want the right with front and back cover. And like I said, the front and back cover, let's see if I can bring that in before we go, because that's exactly what the reaction is, that as much as everyone is congratulating Donald Trump, but as usual, Africa, we do a bit of extra, to reflect what we do when it comes to, congratulations. So that is, what the individual is talking about. I don't know whether we can say properly there. Let's take a few more lines from there. Whoever is behind the Nigerian president, Andrew, is doing a great job. This graphic is prestigious. It looks like somebody's happy with it. We don't need criminals in power to congratulate Donald Trump. This is coming from another individual. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless the United States of America. And the last one is, but in Nigeria, INEC reader know the work.
After this one, we all watch this, so we know what went on. But they say Nigeria, and well, Ghana is also going to be going for election exactly tomorrow, a month from tomorrow, the 7th of December. And there's lots of head shaking, and people are worried about that. But it looks like the same template of what is happening in the US. Would that pan out well for them? You want to know more? You got to stay tuned. Bayomi, before you go.
Well, Joseph Sunday Akinrele says, Lagbaja has come and gone, home without a war. Death is inevitable. National grid collapse is sabotaged by these few greedy Nigerians to the nation. They are working against the progress of the nation. And Omobolaji Abdullahi say, well, it seems that Simon Ekpa has earned whatever he must have said, regarding Lagbaja. Death is inevitable. And the last one is coming from Lalade Akon. He said, all of us need a God. But it seems that home is not available. On that note, I'll leave you with Archie this morning.
Gbogbo ẹ̀yin ọmọ ọ̀dọ́ tá a jọ ń káàkiri ọ̀dọ́jọ́ ni wá, ẹ má jẹ́ kí a fi àyè gba Fúlàní lórí ilẹ̀ àwọn bàbá wa, ẹ má jẹ́ ká bú ọba mọ́, ẹ má jẹ́ ká bú jòyè mọ́. Nígbà tá a la fẹ́ jà fún àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ wa, táwa ń kọ́kọ́ ń bú ọba, tá ń bú jòyè, èmi náà ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ rí, bọ́ mo pera mi padà. Ẹ má jẹ́ ká bú àgbààgbà kankan mọ́, ẹ má bolóṣèlú kankan. Ẹ̀rù kálukú ń bẹ̀rù wọn ò lè sọ̀rọ̀, ọba ò lè sọ, ìjòyè lè sọ. Ẹ jẹ́ ká ronú. Ẹ má jẹ́ ká bá àwọn bàbá àjà mọ́, ẹ má jẹ́ á bú wọn mọ́, ẹ má jẹ́ á ṣe wọ́n ra wọn ara pẹ̀lú wọn. Àwọn àgbà tán bá jó lóṣèlú, tá a bá fẹ́ kọ́ wọn rẹ̀ wá lọ́wọ́, á gbé wọn mọ́ra, á gbé wọn mọ́ra ni. àní bú wọn mọ́. Ẹ mọ́ jẹ́ àṣejẹ̀gbọ́n, mọ́ jẹ́ àdàlúrú. A lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì ṣèjẹ̀gbọ́n. A lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì yìnbọn. A lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì dàlúrú. Gbogbo protest mo ṣe ní ìlú Nàìjíríà, mi ò rí ibi tí mo ti ẹnìkan lè sọ pé mo pààyàn tàbí mo jó nǹkan náà tàbí mo bà nǹkan jẹ́. Mo lọ písù torí pé olówó lèmi náà tí ò bá sólówó lára ń dì mọ́. Gbogbo nǹkan tọ́lọ́run fún yàn lọ́lọ́run fún mi. Mi ṣe tálákà tó dé pé mo dìde fún jà Yorùbá. Big man ni mi, àwọn tó jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi tó súnmọ́ mi tó ní owó ní kí ni mo wá lọ bẹ̀. Pé sọ́wọ́ lè mi mò ń fẹ́ ni kí n sọ yìí tí mo fẹ́, mo ní ìsọ̀rọ̀ owó. Àní ọ̀rọ̀ ìran mi ni mò ń sọ. Kí n wọ gbowó, kí n gbéra, kí n pé mò ń lọ ọ̀dọ̀ ọba àgbowó, mò ń lọ ọ̀dọ̀ oníbodè òfin gbowó, kí n kójó wọlé kọ́kàn mi balẹ̀, kí n dá wa mọ́tò kí n mọ́ rìn bọ̀, kí Fúlàní mọ́ dá mi dúró títì, kí n délé kí bàbá sọ pé kí n gbé tírélà sùn kí n mọ́ gbé lọ. Àwọn bàbá wo lè lóko mọ́, wọn ò lè lódò. Ẹ jẹ́ ká fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ ká ti àwọn bàbá wa lẹ́yìn, ká dá security ti wa lẹ̀, ká sọ fún wọn kí wọ́n bá wa fọwọ́ tì í, ká lé wọn kó nu oko wa. Ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́, Jésù Olúwa wa.
That's all. But there seems to be some confusion in Yoruba land. I see that maybe perhaps the generality of the people do not feel as passionate about self-determination. And secondly, there is all kinds of positions. Afenifere is talking about restructuring. You are talking about self-determination.
You don't know this. You don't know the nature of the Yoruba society. You don't. Most of the young people, and they are the majority in Yoruba land, want the self-determination of their Yoruba nation. That's the truth of the matter. That's what is keeping the movement going. And they are also doing so in the diaspora. Yoruba young men and women all over the world want their own country, separate from Nigeria. You cannot deny that. No matter how much you want to pander to the government, you cannot deny that. But that's the truth.
But anyway,
the important thing, however, and I'm surprised that you are not talking about that, is that the Yoruba people who are fighting for self-determination are telling the world and telling themselves that they will do it only peacefully. We are Yoruba. We know our status in the world. We know our status in the black world. We do not want to destroy the peace of Nigeria, and we do not want to bring difficulty into the lives of any other group in Nigeria. But we want to get out of Nigeria. That's it.
Well, Prof, you were a strong member.
And you're not talking about that. You are asking me questions. You are asking me questions as if what Onitiri did has the support of the majority of Yoruba people who want self-determination. It is not true.
Well, Prof,
she has a small minority of a section that is ready to do illegalities. A year ago, they went and attacked a radio station in Ibadan, and so on. Now this year, they are attacking the entire government of Ibadan, and so on. No, but we have never sent anybody to go and do that, and we do not support it or encourage it. Prof, and we think it is criminal.
Prof,
and so if they get punished for their criminality, we have no objection to that.
Prof, you are a strong member.
But you cannot, because of them, generalize opposition to self-determination. You cannot.
Well, Prof, you are a strong member of the Unity Party of Nigeria, also a very strong member of Afenifere. Afenifere is talking about restructuring. You are now talking about self-determination. What is the difference, in these two ideological positions?
Yes, our fathers in Afenifere are doing the right thing, talking about restructuring, so that we can go back and live our own life the way we used to live it prosperously. They're doing the right thing. There is nothing wrong with that. But we, another group of people, larger in number than they, are now saying, no, self-determination is the answer, not restructuring. Why? Because when you restructure, you are still in Nigeria. The people who are coming and disrupting your life and destroying your farms and killing your women and raping your mothers and daughters and so on, are still Nigerians. They still have a right to come to Nigeria. The only final solution to that is to separate, so that you have a separate Yoruba country where we can make our own laws and so on, where to which we admit only people we want to admit. So nobody can claim that they have a right to come to our land. They don't have such a. But as long as we are in Nigeria, no matter what restructuring is done, they still have the right to come to our land and do the things that we are doing. Nobody is talking about the fact that most Yoruba farmers have been driven from their farms. I am not hearing that. I'm hearing only about government. I'm not hearing about people. You are not talking about the fact that most Yoruba farmers have been driven from their farms, and that the Yoruba nation is in danger of famine upon famine upon famine for years and years to come. You are not talking of the fact that the Fulani declared war on Nigeria on the 24th of January and 26th of January and said that Tinubu is not our president. We are going to Aso Rock. We will take over the seat of government there, and we will use this place to organize the conquest of the rest of Nigeria. You're not talking about that. You are not talking of people who said, no Fulani man must be arrested for the bomb in Ibadan. If you do, you will have bombs in every town in Yoruba, in Nigeria. Nobody is talking about that. Nobody is talking about the sheer insult of living in a country where some people are treating the government like that. You are talking about Onitiri and so on. Why do our...
Well, Prof, let me ask you this. Self-determination, you
are entitled to your opinion. You are entitled to your opinion, but what I'm saying is that your opinion rigorously avoids the truth. Rigorously.
But Prof,
avoids the truth.
Nigeria, as Onigo Chiche told us in his research on ethnic nationalities in Nigeria, has over 300 ethnic nationalities. Will you recommend self-determination to all the other ethnic nationalities in Nigeria? For all these nationalities to break away?
Those who want it, don't ask me a general question. I'm asking for self-determination for a nation, the Yoruba nation. There are about 60 million people in Nigeria. And their territory is large enough to be a large country. So that's what I'm talking about. Any other nationality in Nigeria that wants self-determination is free to ask for it. I cannot come and ask for self-determination for nations that are not mine. No.
Well, Prof, as we have this, we're having this conversation.
Okay, Ogua, I say good afternoon and welcome to the second part. This program ends at exactly an hour from now. So that means we only have a very limited time. I won't be calling out names and be greeting you. We'll go straight to it because there's quite a lot to catch up with. And as usual, my name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Good afternoon, good evening. And I'm sure as many of you are waking up to the news of the death of now former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant Taoreed Lagbaja from Osun State, a Yoruba man. And as we say all the time, you are likely not to survive 60 years in Nigeria. If you survive 60 years, and I hope you can hear me loud and clear, please indicate if you can hear me loud and clear on the comment section. Please do let me know if you can hear me. But like I said, death is inevitable, as we all know. But one thing is, if you are still a one believer of Nigeria, you die faster than what you are going to likely to be. We do know that Lagbaja did not die yesterday, but I'll leave that for the minds of millions of people to ponder on. What we now know is we go in accordance to what we have been told by the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that Lagbaja has finally died. And what that means is that it's just the same way that we have said it so many times, that we're only going to be here for a very limited time. It does not matter how powerful you are. It does not matter how strong you are. Everyone will pass on at a particular time. All I can say that Lagbaja has completed his own term on this evil world that we are living. Lagbaja has done his own bit, and that means that we that are left behind needs to complete the job of us exiting Nigeria as quickly as possible. And I use the word as quickly as possible before you become or we become the next person. We're not going to mock the death of Lagbaja, but it is just the same that if you are a Nigerian, regardless of your position, regardless of who you are, regardless of your power, Nigeria will take you out. You know why? Because we are dealing with many other indigenous people that do not have the same interest like us. As an example, Lagbaja could still be alive. I don't know what was wrong with him, but we know that Lagbaja is also competing with many other indigenous people like the Igbos, the Hausas, the Fulanis in one country, when we could have had a Yoruba nation with hopefully Lagbaja as our chief of army staff in Yoruba land. But apparently, till his death, he was a one final lover of Nigeria, and we can only say RIP to him. He is not the first person, at least he is able to survive till 50, I think 56. I have told you many times on this platform that you are not likely to survive in Nigeria. According to the World Health Organization, you are not likely to survive for up to 52. So if you survive a little bit over 50 in Nigeria today, continue to give glory to your creator. According to WHO, the death of any Nigerian, is always 52 years old. That is what the World Health Organization says, because we know that already. But let's going forward. According to the death rate, World Health Organization completely told us that when it comes to the mortality and the global health estimate, and you put Nigeria as a case study, you realize that it's a country that has a lot of issues. And what are those issues? I am not the one making this up. And like I said, I am going with data, and data doesn't tell lies. So even if Lagbaja, that we expect to have lived longer, based on the fact that Lagbaja is much wealthy than millions of average Nigerians today. We have about 129 million Nigerians that are currently in depression because they cannot eat, they cannot survive, and they are struggling on a daily basis. So that means that many of them would not even survive up to 56 years old like Lagbaja. I'm going to come back to David Lammy, because I can now tell you that UK government wants Nigeria to remain for another 50 years. That means they've upped it from 100 years to 50 years. We'll come back to that. But let's quickly look into what we know according to data from the World Health Organization on Nigeria. They know that the population is 227 million. There is no need to have a population of 27 million when we are fighting for one position to who become the chief of army staff. And who become the chief of army staff only is based on who is the current president. Even if Lagbaja was alive, it will be kicked out by the next government after Tinubu. So that literally means that Lagbaja will still be alive, but he would have been kicked out of office as the chief of army staff if Tinubu leaves office, even in 8 years. Because the argument that we should allow Tinubu to remain in power for 8 years, what they forgot to understand is this man, even if he was alive, will be kicked out. And that goes with the new person that is representing or replacing rather, Taoreed Lagbaja. But what I want us to focus on is that according to the World Health Organization, life expectancy of Nigeria is what I want us to focus on. And I want you to look at the chart very well. And I hope you can see it clearly on the map. According to World Health Organization, life expectancy at birth in Nigeria, life expectancy at birth has improved by 9.76 years from 53 years in 2000 to 63 years in 2021. I'm sure this data has not yet been updated, because if data has been updated, this 63 years is not likely to happen. It is a lie. But we do know that some of these organizations are also, working either for or against. So I will leave Lagbaja, but at the back of your mind, as a Yoruba man, as a Yoruba woman, remember that death would happen to us, but with you fighting for one position in Nigeria, death will approach you faster and quicker, because you are competing to get that position with other indigenous people. So Lagbaja was competing this position with the other indigenous people that have a different intention and that they have a different idea against what our own ideas are. If Lagbaja was even truly going to fight Boko Haram, if Lagbaja was truly even going to defeat Boko Haram, if Lagbaja was even going to make sure that Nigeria was a great place for every single one of us, he would not have been able to do so, because there are too many stakeholders in Nigeria. These stakeholders do not want Lagbaja to do exactly what Tolulope Arotile was doing. So for argument's sake, Lagbaja wants a better Nigeria. That means he's going to defeat the Boko Haram terrorism and the agenda to make sure that every one of us is Fulanized. Because they are going to Islamize Nigeria. Whether you agree with that or not is your own problem, not mine. But we do know that somebody warned us, told us that the more that we remain one Nigeria, the more the danger will be for me and you. But as usual, Nigerians are too disobedient people. They want people to tell them lies upon lies. So I want us to listen to this.
Which is it for you, Dr. Obadiah? Do you think the government is unwilling or unable to protect the people of Southern Kaduna?
In fact, it is not only unable, it is unwilling, and we have good reason to feel that they are part and parcel of the killers. Let me make some revelations to you.
That's a very big allegation, Dr. Obadiah. The government is part and parcel of the killers.
Yes.
That's big.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. How would the government just say, oh, it is revenge killing and so on? Then you leave it there. Oh, because it is revenge killing and so on and so forth. The body language of this administration, the body language of the state government shows clearly that they have a hand in the killings. No doubt about it. Because, you see, General Abacha, and people don't give him his due. Do you think you would have tolerated such nonsense? And let me make some revelations, because some of us also have our own intelligence networks.
Okay.
Have met with some of the bandits. We have met with some of their high commanders.
He has met with some of the high commander that Lagbaja now wants to take out. He has met with some of the high-profile criminal terrorists. I'm talking about the late Malapia that himself passed on. But apparently, Lagbaja was dealing with many people that are dark angels, that are dark in the sense that they would not give him the room to perform. But Lagbaja would have been better off in a Yoruba country to help us manage the strategic of how to defend our territory, as Donald Trump has now promised, because we can congratulate Donald Trump as the 47th president of the United States of America after winning Kamala Harris. But Donald Trump assured Americans that he would defend and make sure that many terrorists and criminals and people that are coming through the borders, immigration, will be pushed out. We will want the same thing in Yoruba land. We want to push out whoever, regardless of whether they are from the southeast, they are from the middle belt. We care less. We do not want criminal activities as immigrants in Yoruba country. But apparently, Lagbaja was a believer of one Nigeria because of the fake information from Tinubu. Because if Tinubu has backed out of being a one Nigeria, maybe Lagbaja himself would not find himself in that situation, because Tinubu would have recalled back every Yoruba military personnel to return back to Yoruba land, and we should start preparing to set up a new military formation far away from the criminal Nigeria military terrorist organization that is being funded, that is being treated as the one to take us to paradise. Because the more you look into the Nigerian military, the more you can see. So what I'm trying to explain to many of us this afternoon, I don't want you to believe in whatever I'm saying, but I am saying that Lagbaja would have been better off. Even if he's going to die, we want him to die as a Yoruba man in a Yoruba country. But apparently, Lagbaja also has passed on. Death came to him in the same way death came to late MK Abiola, in the same way that death came to Ludele Giwa, in the same way that death came to Tolulope Bamishe, in the same way that death came to Jumoke Oyeleke and Bolanle Rahim, and many innocent Nigerians that are Yorubas and those that are also that are not Yorubas. Because Nigeria is not a country that fall in love with you. It does not matter. Go and ask the family of Okparaji if the government is still taking care of them. Go and ask the family of Rashidi Yekini. So as a Nigerian, we are just living in denial, because it's a country full of shit. It's a country full of deceit. It's a country that even your position. I read and I see, there's a colleague of mine now. I'm looking at him on LinkedIn. He's going to all over the world. He's doing this. He's doing presentation. And I'm laughing because many people have done the same thing. Yes, some of us will be luckier than each other. There's no amount of lies that you can put forward. Madam Pashaki as well. So you can see that the death of innocent people always happen in this contraction we call Nigeria. But many Nigerians today will say, no, don't worry, let us be united. You cannot unite in a country where unity does not exist. So I pray for late Lagbaja. I pray for your family. But one Nigeria has eventually taken you out. So it's left to the rest of us now to fight to defend ourselves from this contraction. Now, let's move to the next story, because, like I said, this program ends at exactly 1300 hours. It will not even go 1 minute behind, because there's a lot of other things that I've been able to do and I still want to do. I'm going to take us to the press release. And this is very, very important. The next slide is important. And what does that mean? The UK and Nigeria. The UK government is telling many Nigerians that don't worry about self-determination. Don't even bother about the breakup of Nigeria. The UK government is telling every one of us that it will be in our interest. And I want to put this on my audio so that many people can listen to this particular side. So bear with me. Let me prep that so that we can record this, so that for those that always complain that they don't have data, you better have data to listen to how your life is about to be mortgaged for the next 50 years.
So this is the 6th of November 2024 at exactly 12:17 p.m. local time in London. My name is, oh, sorry, I thought I recorded that. This is the 6th of November 2024 on the platform Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorstep, as we are now asking questions surrounding the visit of the Foreign Secretary to Nigeria, David Lammy. It also happened for record purpose that today is the day that Donald Trump has now been elected as the 47th President of the United States of America. Also, on a sad note, we can also confirm that the death of Taoreed Lagbaja, the former Chief of Army Staff, as announced by the government, is also today. Now, why are we asking this question? According to David Lammy, and the press release by the British government on their website gov.uk. They are asking Nigerians that we should keep Nigeria together for 50 more years. 50 more years in the sense that the British government says that Nigeria will be in a better place by 2075. It will even be the 5th largest economy in Africa. And what that means is that the British government does not want the breakup or dissolution or those campaigning for self-determination. Could this also mean that that is the reason why the kings will be having their meeting on the 7th of November, which is tomorrow, where they will be gathering and be signing a new 50 years deal to keep Yoruba people in Nigeria? These are questions that we are asking many people this afternoon, that we have been telling us that after Igbowo's letter to number 10 Downing Street, there is a lot of move by the British government and the monarchy system in Nigeria to keep us together, and maybe that is the reason why David Lammy has been put on the flight to go to Nigeria, visit South Africa, but the South Africa is just a gimmick. The major part of it is Nigeria. But if David Lammy flew to Nigeria alone, it will flag up. So I'm asking the question to millions of Yoruba people, especially the 60 million Yoruba people, that are you ready to remain in one Nigeria for another 50 years to 2075, when British might be ready with our kings to make sure then we can dissolve Nigeria? Let's read quickly the press release from the British government. It was published on the 3rd of November 2024, and you can find this particular link by typing www.gov.uk or by putting the headline "Growth at the Heart of Foreign Secretary's Visit to Nigeria and South Africa." That is the headline. Foreign Secretary David Lammy visit Nigeria and South Africa. This is coming from the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, and also the office of the Lieutenant Honorable David Lammy, that is the current Foreign Secretary to the United Kingdom and the Labour government, Sir Keir Starmer. Economic growth to underpin work in both Nigeria and South Africa, as Foreign Secretary agrees to develop a new UK-South Africa growth plan and a new strategic partnership with Nigeria. Climate continued to top the agenda of Foreign Secretary's engagement as he visits Earthshot event in Cape Town. Foreign Secretary set out growth is the core mission of this government, and we underpin our relations in Nigeria, South Africa, and beyond. David Lammy will begin a visit to Nigeria and South Africa today, the 3rd of November 2024, his first trip to Africa continent as Foreign Secretary and first to visit South Africa since 2013. Commitment to fresh approach to Africa that works productively from Morocco to Madagascar. The Foreign Secretary will announce the start of a 5-month consultation process to ensure African voices inform and sit at the very heart of the UK's new approach to the continent. I want us to take note of that particular word. Africa's voices inform. Which of the voices? Is it the voice that myself and you are demanding the breakup of Nigeria? or the voice of those from the cabal that are telling the government of Britain, or those from the politicians that are advising the foreign secretary that it will be of interest that Yoruba remain under Nigeria for 50 more years. Let's go further. The consultation will guarantee, the word guarantee means that UK has already now confirmed officially that Nigeria will remain the same as it is if nothing is done from the campaigners of self-determination, either the Biafra or the Yoruba or the Arewa. But the guarantee is that UK wants to accommodate the diverse needs and ambition of 54 countries. The consultation will guarantee the UK relation across Africa, including Nigeria, are based on the mutual respect and partnership. Remember that we told you that the 1914 amalgamation is a business treaty between the UK government and Nigeria. The Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, is now saying that Africa has a huge growth potential with the continent on track to make up 25% of the world population by 2050. These are the same lies that we have been told many times, that we are better off as Nigeria in Africa. But if not, why are we not growing in the fast pace? It's because all the resources and all the economic situation in Nigeria is being controlled from outside Nigeria. Now, our new approach, what does approach mean? There is an approach that would deliver respectful partnership, that listen rather than tell. So Britain is saying that we want to listen, but we don't want Nigeria to break up for the next 50 years. We want to keep Nigeria for 2075, and we can review if we need to dissolve this country or not. Even though we know that the 1914 amalgamation expired according to Jonathan, and I can now confirm with a credible intelligence that Jonathan's life is now at threat. I'm talking about the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. The Fulanis are going to take him out. Whoever knows Jonathan should tell the former president to beef up his security in and out and vet those that surround him. This is an intelligence. Jonathan's life is now at threat, and I want many people to please help me to cut out this particular side. We might not like Jonathan, we might disagree with him, but Jonathan was able to expose to us that Nigeria dissolved in 2014, and it is only the British intention to keep it together. Intelligence gathered by me has now confirmed that the Fulani wants to kill Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. If you know him, if you're a family friend, please tell Jonathan to beef up his security and change the strategy of where he goes, because his life is now under threat. Just the same way Dr. Malapia was killed, just the same way Lagbaja Taoreed was killed. We do not know who the next person will be, but I can confirm that the reason why they want to kill Jonathan is because of this. Listen to this.
Thinking about how we've been having this conversation about the unity of Nigeria. And I reflect back at some of the prominent statements made by some of our founding leaders. And I feel that probably this will help us to have a conversation on the Nigerian unity. I just brought four, not to bore you. First, and I quote, not my statement, Nigeria is not a nation. It's a mere geographical expression. There are no Nigerians in the same sense as there are English.
Conversation. This particular video has now spotlight back again by the Fulanis to take out Ebele Goodluck Jonathan. Please tell him to keep his security on the top notch. Let's listen to the final part of that video. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, and today is the 6th of November 2024. This is a very important message that it has now been open to the public that David Lammy is telling us indirectly that we will keep Nigeria together till 2075. This is an indirect message. It's not going to come in the way you expect it to come. What they have done is exactly what we have been saying when I came out to tell us that our kings have now compromised to keep Yoruba people into Nigeria for the next 50 years. I did not know as at the time how many years. But according to this report from the UK press statement, that Nigeria would be one of the biggest Africa in the biggest economy by 2075, has now indicated when you multiply or calculate from today to 2075, it's approximately 51 years, but I capped it at 50 years. So what they are saying is that whether we like it or not, we will remain one Nigeria for the next 50 years, but that is subject to if the Yoruba truly want to be part of Nigeria or not. Let's finish the part of the Jonathan discussion, and I'll come back again.
Wealth of friends. The word Nigerian is merely a distinctive appellation to distinguish those who live within the boundaries of Nigeria from those who do not. This is accredited to Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the former Prime Minister of the Western region. The second one, and I quote, "It is true that we politicians always delight in talking loosely about the unity of Nigeria. 60 years ago, there was no country called Nigeria."
Now, these are evidence from a man that was in power for 8 years and also 4 years or so before, he became the president. So Jonathan had enough credible information on his desk that there was nothing called Nigeria before 1914. So, but why is it Nigeria? We're going to listen to Jonathan. And this is the reason why they want to keep Nigeria till 2075. That is the date. Date yen, but I'm going to speak in Yoruba, but let me complete it in English because I want the British citizens to understand that the more we keep Nigeria, the more the pressure cooker is going to happen as well here in the United Kingdom because many Nigerians will find their way down here. Let's go back again and listen.
What is now Nigeria consisted of several large and small communities, all of which were different in their outlooks and beliefs. The advent of the British and that of Western education has not materially altered the situation, and the many and varied communities have not knit themselves into a composite unit. This is accredited to Sir Amadu Bello, former Premier of Northern Region. The third, and I quote, "Since 1914,
you can hear the word since 1914. This is the word. This is not an AI video. This was after Jonathan left power. He could not say it while he was in power because his life was at risk. But Jonathan left power and made it known to millions of Nigerians that you don't need to go and revolt. You don't need any voting. We know that he could have stopped it himself, but because of their greed, because of the criminality in them, they refused to, which Jonathan should have ended Nigeria, which we are now telling Tinubu to do the same thing. Tinubu will now be saying that, but Jonathan that was in power enjoyed the power for 8 years. He did not dissolve Nigeria. He did not give the right of the indigenous people to control their resources and become an autonomous, independent country. Rather, Jonathan was going around the bush looking for how to set up a conference and all manners of lies. But Jonathan told us, and you can see that we have not just evidence, that Jonathan is telling us a credible information that no Nigerians should be called Nigerians because we are not Nigerians, we are Yorubas, we are Biafrans, we are Arewa, but yet Jonathan did nothing while he was in power to stop it. Let's listen to the final part of what he was saying.
The British government has been trying to make Nigeria into one country.
The British government have been trying to make Nigeria into one country, and they have now extended that till 2075. And that does not even guarantee that they will allow Nigeria to dissolve. Maybe you didn't hear what I said. The British government under David Lammy, the foreign secretary, and I'm going to push swiftly, says Nigeria, and this is the highlighted part of it here, Nigeria will be the largest economy, the 5th largest economy by 2075. I am not the one that says this. I am not the one making this up. This is what the British Foreign Secretary has said, that the Foreign Secretary will now advocate for further collaboration. What does collaboration mean? The work between Britain and Nigeria on mutual growth, Idagbasoke, the UK-Nigerian Enhanced Trade and Investment Partnership that was already signed at the earlier this year. So a kind of a trade enhanced investment was signed by the British and Nigeria. But what they did not tell us then was that by 2075, which is 50 years from now, we want to keep it together. Now, Jonathan is now telling us exactly what David Lammy is saying in 2024. This video is something you need to share. This audio that I'm recording is important that every Nigerian listen to this, because there is no amount of your election that will resolve the problem. Let everybody go their separate ways. Self-determination is an inalienable right, and that right must be respected by Britain, United Nations, and we hope that the new administration of Donald Trump would also play a pivotal role in the breakup and dissolution of Nigeria, the amalgamation.
But the Nigerian people themselves are historically different.
The Nigerian people are historically different. This is coming from Jonathan.
In their backgrounds, in their religious beliefs.
And that is the reason why the Islam in the north is different from the Islam in the south. Our cultural belief is different. Our mode of dressing is different. There is nothing that put us together but British. Britain is the one that wants it to happen. Let's listen further.
And do not show themselves any sign of willingness to unite.
So if we are not showing any sign of trying to unite, why are we forcing ourselves? More reason why Lagbaja was taken out. Because some individuals within the cabal do not want to see Lagbaja promoting and doing things in a way in accordance to how he wants to do it. But yet, millions of Yoruba people are still living in denial. Millions of Yoruba people still do not want to accept the truth and nothing but the truth, that it is only the intention of Britain to keep us together, even though our unity is not going to work.
The Nigerian unity is only a British intention for the country.
The Nigerian unity is only a British intention and nothing more than that. And I hope that this message reach every part of the world as it is being put out today. Now, let's come back to the final conclusion of my discussion before we end this program in just 10 minutes from now. As you all know, we are not here more than the fact that we are saying that there is no amount of what you think that will save Nigeria. But our effort and our campaign and awareness must be increased. We saw how America, in both Democrat and Republican, invested and put in every effort to make sure that their dreams was achieved. Somebody must win. And there's no doubt about that. Donald Trump has won the election. Whether we agree with it or not, whether you disagree with it is not the issue anymore. It is now about the Americans. The question is, when is it going to be about you and me? Americans have done what they need to do to bring in what they want to bring in. And as you can see from the result of the US election, from your most popular BBC, as you all trust them, Kamala Harris, 223. Is coming from the projection of how the result was announced on the Democrat with about 66 million, almost 47.4%. But Donald Trump, Republican, 271 with about 71 million people that voted, as about 51. We need millions of Yoruba people to wake up from their slumber so that we can take back our own territory. We can take back our own country. Just as Americans are celebrating regardless of whether they are Democrat or Republican. We would also celebrate with all manners when we officially pull out from Nigeria. We are not yet officially out of Nigeria, but we are praying and hoping that this fraudulent amalgamation can be destroyed out of our mind for the rest of our life, can be taken out so that none of our people will remember amalgamation again. But if we do nothing and we leave it alone, 50 years from now, add it to your age, we will still be talking about one Nigeria. You will not buy freedom at the back of a truck. You will not buy freedom in any supermarket. You would have to pay the heavy price to achieve freedom, because freedom doesn't come easy. It is not about Sunday Igboho. It is not about Professor Akintoye. It is not about me. It is not about every one of us. It is about us all to put our resources now before it is too late. If we refuse to do so, the Fulani's agenda would happen. I pray it doesn't, but we can't sit behind and continue to say it's not going to happen. It is likely to happen if nothing is done. And this is how far I can go this afternoon with my program. I wish you a very good afternoon, and I hope that many of you will remember that if care is not taken, we will all live in a Islamized country called Nigeria, and that will be a total disaster. We are grateful to all our leaders. We are grateful to all the Yorubas around the world. We are grateful to our friends and partners. But please do not think that you must keep us in Nigeria so that we can become partners. We want to have a cordial relationship with Britain as a Yoruba citizen. We want to make sure that our citizenship between us and Yoruba works perfectly. But if we do nothing, something will prop up and we will all remain in danger. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Enjoy the rest of the day. And if we say Yoruba Nation, we mean it. It's Yoruba Nation. Nothing less, nothing new. If you want to support us, these are the ways you can do so. Remember that the reason why NBC, Fox News, and all these news are working tirelessly in whatever direction is because they have the wealth to do so. Without your funding to this organization, it will be difficult to work hard. And as you can tell, yesterday, we've already added one more person. We are hoping to add multiple of them so that they'll be discussing and be talking about Yoruba Nation on this platform. We need your support. We need your voluntary donation. Every media that is operating around the world has different sources of their income. This particular one only relies on you, our great audience and listeners from around the world. Your contribution will go a long way. Please do not sit back when we are asking you to contribute. Do whatever you can to contribute, and remember to pray for me and my family, because nothing comes easy. But with this journey, we will complete it together, God's willing, by the grace of the great of our God, our forefathers. But our forefathers will not come to us if we do not make any effort. Once again, to all the medias underneath, I won't call anybody's name out because I haven't got the time to do so this afternoon. But we do appreciate you. From those of you watching us, listening to us, remember that my platform has been shadow banned. If you do not share, if you do not remind people that Koikimedia is always there, they might even think that I am not doing any program anymore. And on that note, bye for now.